Well, they're hoping that the House of Reps will not toe the same line, because if that happens, perhaps they'll now go with the next line of action.
No, that is true. Like I said before, if the state will now have the opportunity of legislating in respect of labor, they will now say, like the labor leaders rightly said, they will improvise all the workers and they will now say, okay, fine. But we complain about theft or fraud by workers all the time. Why? Because they are poor, they want to increase their living standard. They will look at the federal government, their counterpart in the public service of the federal government. They will say, they are doing this, they are doing that. Why can't we do it here? Then they will find means of increasing their livelihood by stealing, but defrauding the economy as well.
Why do you think the Senate turned down the proposal rejected the proposal for state police, as in where the states can also, how do you put it now, have their own police force and run it by at their own expense? But then they are trying to decentralize labor, allowing the states to also run their own labor and control it. So why do you think they did that?
Well, that was politically motivated. For example, like, let me take a block or 2 blocks as an example. Let's take the Southwest, for example, or the Southeast as a block, and then the North as a block. If you allow one or the states to introduce their own state police, the possibility that they would recruit only their indigents are there. 2, the possibility that they will put their own boys there. The fear is there. And if you have that, you are going to have anarchy sooner or later. Because if you put all the Boma boys, let me call them, with due respect to the workers, if you put the area boys, drag them into the police force, and then they are there. You know, sometimes in Lagos before, they will say, rights are for a particular person all the time, and this and that. And when you take some of the boys and the garages, blah, 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 blah. If this kind of boys should be dragged into the police force, and they will have some sympathy, no matter what happens, to the people that recruited them. And it could be based on ethnic, it could be based on any other thing. It's not good for the country. So I sincerely believe that we have a national police like we have now. It's still good. They are mixed. Everybody mixed. In any society, you have the bad eggs. There's no way. But if you allow the police to do it like we have had it before in the past, in the 50s.
So what's the guarantee that if they allow for decentralization of labor, that the states will not just be employing their own indigents?
They would, and then they would destroy the element of commandery, that is with the good relationship between labor and management. They will destroy it.
But what about those who think, or who suggest that these amendments are supposed to get us to really practice true federalism, and not just on paper?
No, it is not by this that we are going to pass true federalism. We have not practiced any true federalism since we started. We have not practiced it. If you have true federalism, you will not impose anyone on anybody from one particular region or the other.
Are they imposing anything?
They will not impose on any region or any institution.
Yeah, is there anything they're imposing on any region now?
Oh, yeah. If the federal government right now, because they are controlled by the PDP, they do not approve of a particular person, and we have 1, 2, 3 or 4 here. We know we are not from the PDP area, and they know one of us or any one of us can do the job. They will still prefer to bring somebody they can control, who will be a member of their own political party. They are doing it.
So that's not owing to the weakness of the structure or institutions.
It is the weakness of the rulers, the leaders of this country because they come from a particular political party. They will impose their own will on the people. Whereas, if you look at it from a national point of view, there are other people who could really occupy that position and perform to the best of his ability on that job. Rather, they will bring a mediocre because he belongs to that political party.
But there have been different arguments about this because they also say that, look, because remember, while they were about to do that, cast their votes, the Senate President said, look, just vote according to your conscience, some of this. And then they hear the House of Reps.
That's a rules. I read it. That's a rules. Anybody can say that.
What about when the House of Reps also say, look, don't vote because of what your leader thinks in your region. Just vote according to what the people want.
Those of us that are outside here, they are to placate us. We cannot follow their only messing up.
Does it mean that if they go on with this amendment, everyone must agree with it? But you always have dissenting voices. Which
you will make up your mind. You say, yes, I agree with them, I don't agree with them. But majority of us that will disagree with them, we will have no means of correcting it. They are the ones that are there. It will have been a different thing if they have submitted these issues to the public in the first instance. Then they are going back this way now. They have passed the resolution at the central level. Now bring it back to the state for the state to now say, even if 24 out of 36 you say, all right, we agree with them. They have already done it already. They have also passed a resolution that if after 3 or 30 days, the president fails to assent to any bill, it becomes law.
You have an issue with that?
Well, they have an issue here, but they have passed the law. If nobody goes to court or challenges them and all the rest of it, after a period of the 30 days, it will become law. The president will have nothing to do with it except to sign.
But in spite of all
that is part of the amendment they have just made.
Okay. But if you look at, yes, they also talk about autonomy for local governments.
Yes.
That's another point.
Well, they go completely, we have different views. For me, I don't even subscribe to the autonomy for local governments.
Why?
Because of the operators. You see, the laws are made in good faith, but the operators are doing something different. For example, I would say there is nothing wrong with the 1999 Constitution, but the way we have operated it is what we are talking. We are operating as if, once you are not from my place, once you are not my brother, once you are not this or that, once we cannot see rightly with each other on any issue, then we are not going to. That is the way they are operating the country. It should not be. I should not look at your face simply because you are my brother, or simply because you are from my west or whatever it is. Then everything you say, everything you do must be right.
But how would that
I should look at everybody as equal.
How would that affect not granting autonomy for local governments?
Let's start now. Chairmanship of local governments are on basis of political parties. The chairman right now, or I would say the federal government will disburse money that is meant for the state through the state government. The state government will now disburse to each of the local government within his own state. Now, there is still some element of control between the state and the local government. But if the money is made available directly from the federal government to the local government, the local government chairman will be able to call the bluff of the state and say, no, my friend, please don't.
Should there be control? Are these not 3 tiers of government, and each one should be allowed?
That's the 3rd tier of government. That is what they are saying, that they should make it directly to this local government without the intervention of the state government.
Does the federal government interfere in what's going on in the states?
They do not.
So why can't the local government be allowed to run without the interference of the state?
It's not easily identifiable to us that the federal government is interfering in the state, but they do a lot underneath through political machination. The local government too, and the state can tame local government that does not want to fall in line with them. the chairman of the local government, I mean, you know, that is the difference between the local government and the private sector. The private sector, for example, before you do anything, like in this organization, at the beginning of the year, you submit what is called a cash flow projection, detailing what should be done each month, if possible, to the end of the year, and all the rest of it. Yeah. In the local government, it is not the same. In the state, they do the budgeting, but how was the budget being spent or disbursed? That's a different thing entirely. The same thing with the local government. The local government chairman do a lot of things now. They do this, they acquire this, they do acquire that. The money meant for the people are not being spent judiciously. So, and that is the complaint that, all right, look at most of the roads. The major roads are not meant for the local government to repair, but the other roads, minor roads, are meant to be repaired by the local government. How many of them have they done? We can take Lagos here, for example. They have not done anything. Here, it's under it for local government, isn't it? This office is under it for local government. Have they touched this area for years?
You know, that example could be argued in the sense that some local government administrators will tell you that they do not get enough funds, that the funds are, how do you say, siphoned or are reduced by the state government. So if the funds come directly to them, they can begin to execute the projects that they need to do.
The little that comes to them, they have not been using it judiciously. They were using it frivolously for their political parties, so, and they have for their own selfish ends.
So don't you think if they are allowed to run, the monies are given to them, then there's a reason to come down hard on them? Because right now, if they're not doing anything and they say they don't have funds, would the federal government or would the National Assembly go?
It means for the whoever is in power at the center to control all the local governments.
Really?
Yes. Indirect way of controlling them. Don't worry, we'll see what we do. You won't get anything. Next one. The budget is every year.
Can that happen? Can you withhold their funds?
It can be delayed.
Even if it's
even the state are complaining sometimes that we have not received our allocation. We have not received that. That's part of in the past when we were young or when we start to know what is called government. The budget is always completed by March 31st. We're still talking. We are now in July. We're still talking about passing of budgets and all the rest of it. I mean, is that not a part of the delay? Originally, they can say, well, immediately from April or May, we're going to do this, we're going to do that because we'll have received our allocation from the federal government. You cannot predict when you will receive it now.
Okay, but one other matter which pops up is that, because I know that so many lawyers have spoken about this, but the National Assembly also did say that, look, they can make laws for the entire country.
Yes,
for those who are calling
that is the federal government.
For those who are calling for constituency, assembly, and conferences of all sorts.
Sovereign National Conference.
But now, it looks as if the National Assembly will be the ones to do that if we understand this law properly.
Yeah, we don't.
Anything wrong with that?
I do not doubt the ability of the National Assembly to make laws for the whole of the country. But
what about a new constitution for the country?
A new constitution for the country. It cannot be the National Assembly alone.
Why not?
Because it affects all the entire nooks and crannies of Nigeria. And all the hamlets. All of them have a say. They must have a say.
But they are our representatives, and
it's only when
through them.
Yeah, we know we have people that will represent us. The current one, before it was done, you know how many committees and Justice, what do you call him now? Nikki Toby, and all the rest of them. Yeah. Before they produced the last one they did, they consulted every body in the local government, in the hamlets and all and allowed people to come forward to air their views and all the rest before they now say this is what we want. That whatever they have collected represent the views of the populace of this country, not just so for one individual to come and say this is what we want and we put it in there. No.
All right.
It represents the general view of the people. We may not have everything completed in one document, but this is the ground norm of this country. This is what holds every one of us together. And if this one goes, bam, that's the end of the society.
All right, then Dr. Victor Odunara is a legal practitioner. He's an author and former chairman of NBA Lagos. Thank you.